Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Independent National Electoral Commission INEC postpones Governorship House of Assembly polls to March 18, 2023. 6 governorship candidates in Bauchi State signed peace accord ahead of the 2023 elections. Plus, transporters lead campaign pass vote of confidence for the re-election of Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State. Thanks for joining us. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. It's now official. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has shifted the governorship and House of Assembly elections from March 11th to March 18. The elections were initially fixed to hold across 24 states. In a statement on Wednesday night, INEC National Commissioner for Voter Education, Mr. Festus Okoye, said following the ruling by the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on the reconfiguration of the bimodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, used for the February 25th presidential election, the Commission met to assess the impact on its preparations for the governorship exercise. It reads in part, "This decision has not been taken lightly, but it is necessary to ensure that there is adequate time to back up the data stored on the over 176,000 BVAS machines from the presidential and National Assembly elections held on the 25th of February 2023, and then to reconfigure them for the governorship and state assembly elections." It says this has been the practice for all elections, including the period when the Commission was using smart card readers. It says, however, he wishes to reiterate that the Commission is not against litigants inspecting election materials. Consequently, it will continue to grant all litigants access to the materials they require to pursue their cases in court. According to Mr. Okoye, political parties will continue their campaigns until midnight of Thursday, the 16th of March 2023, and that's 24 hours before the new date for the election. On Wednesday, the Court of Appeal had refused an application by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party to restrain INEC from reconfiguring the BVAS ahead of the governorship and state assembly elections. And following that announcement from INEC to reschedule the governorship and House of Assembly elections, Kano State residents have been reacting. While some say that it's a welcome development and they desire a peaceful process, for others, they lament the situation of queues at filling stations, the queues at banks, and saying that it's dashed their expectations to cast their votes.
A lot of Nigerians so many setbacks because we are fully prepared, but for the court injunction and documents being required from the BVAS, there is no how INEC cannot do is to postpone to allow credibility on site of INEC. I am pleading with millions of Nigerians to exercise patience and exercise their franchise right whenever it is necessary and as at due.
It's a little bit bitter information to us because everyone has prepared, ready to cast his votes on Saturday, and now it has been postponed. Everything has scattered. No one will be happy with it. More particularly, we are on the queue now to buy fuel, which is very unfortunate for Nigerians. Yes, we are one of the people that supply crude oil, but unfortunately we are on the queue, intended to buy fuel. It's not convenient, honestly.
It's not that okay because we are already prepared for that day, and shifting the election further again is another way of saying that they are not prepared at all. They should have at least make every preparation down before announcing to Nigerians that election is going to hold this Saturday. Now everybody is prepared. We are awaiting the election to held on Saturday. Now we are receiving a shocking news that it's going to be held next week Saturday again. It's not that pleasant to us anyway, but we have to entertain it since we are all Nigerians.
So it's a mismatch of feelings there. Well, let's take more reactions. And joining me now is the co-convener, Election Integrity Monitoring Group, Mrs. Laimon Aribabu. Welcome to the program. Did you expect that the governorship and House Assembly elections will be rescheduled? And this is given that we heard from the three-man panel of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal granting INEC's request to reconfigure the BVAS.
Thank you very much. Did I expect that it to be rescheduled? Not exactly, but I'm not too surprised that it eventually ended up in rescheduling because once the controversies around the BVAS started, one could anticipate that it might lead to some disruption of INEC's plans and timelines. So this is quite unfortunate. I wasn't expecting that it will happen, but I'm not surprised. Perhaps it is for the best, but I wish we didn't have to get to this stage. This is quite disruptive for me and I presume for most Nigerians. This is disruptive even for school children. As you know, in some places, children were given holidays to resume after the election. Now the election has been postponed. We have international observers who have come into the country with tight schedule, hoping that they will go, but of course, by now, they will be familiar with Nigeria's unpredictability around election. And that's not a good reputation to have on us as a country. So it's unfortunate that it has happened. It's quite disruptive. It's also going to affect businesses. But then let's pray that it will be worth it at the end of the day, which is what is important. If the conduct of the election on the rescheduled date is presumed to be credible and fair to most, and then, of course, the outcome empowers citizens to see that they actually have not just a say, but a lot of input into what happens, into how leaders are recruited and emerged. They would have achieved something quite good, and it will be worth this disruption that has been brought upon us.
And on the other hand, we're seeing parties who have approached the election tribunal, the candidate of the Labour Party, even the president-elect, and then the ordering of access to sensitive materials. Do you see this matter dragging out further and longer? And one would wonder, in light of the extension for the state elections, couldn't perhaps the presidential elections have been postponed if INEC knew that, IREV wouldn't be up and running, and then some of the polling units that, started out late would have, been much more ready?
I can assure you that if the election were postponed by a year, INEC would still have those logistic problems. And I have always said that until we have a decentralized election that can be credible, not the kind of state independent electoral commissions conducted election that is worse than fraud. But until we have a decentralized election, we are going to continue to have the kind of logistical problems. We are going to continue to spend humongous amount of money to conduct our election, and it's quite unfortunate. And you talked about if INEC knew that the IREF wouldn't work. I'm sure that, well, INEC had an oversight on the IREC because the IREF worked for them in Osun and in a couple other places, and they kind of then assumed that it's in order. Well, there's a bit of foolishness on the part of INEC. But also, I want citizens to understand that what happened to INEC could happen. It's happening to our banks. I don't want to mention banks, but banks that we hold in very high esteem in this country have been trying for over a week to make transactions that have not been going. So some of these things can happen. I think, for me, the major failings of INEC is not to have been the one to control the narrative. It's not to have been the one to carry Nigerians along as these things were unfolding and they were realizing the challenges that they were having. We like to say that INEC overpromised and underdelivered, but I don't think that what they promised is even too much to expect of an electoral commission, especially of an election of this importance to a country like Nigeria. But of course, their technology failed them, people failed them, they failed themselves, and in all, they failed Nigerians because by now the coast should be calm. People should be willing to, come out for the elections in 2 days' time and get this over with. But then it's been befraught with a lot of controversies, and some are even saying that this is the worst election in our history, and that's not true. I think people are just going overboard for some reasons. It's not the worst election. INEC had failed in certain areas, and the good thing about it is that the Beavers and the IREV are actually secondary. It's not a primary mode of election result collation. The election result collation is still largely physical. So this one is supposed to validate and help to correct controversies that might arise in the kind of situation that we find ourselves. And I still think that it is possible for INEC to rebuild some of the confidence lost over its last conducted election by making sure that it comes out with an authentic result from all polling units. INEC must have it, and must be something that can be validated with aggrieved party and their agents and the Nigerian police, because the Nigerian police and any agency that supported this election in terms of security provision are supposed to have their own copy of the electoral result sheet from each of the units up to the ward and up to the local government, and as a matter of fact, up to the state level. So all this level of validation, all this level of double checking should be able to bring back some of the lost confidence in this place. But I think the most important thing, which INEC, in my own opinion, is still not doing, is taking charge of the narrative with citizens, taking us through every step of the way what you are doing. You have already been alleged of fast-tracking a process that is fraught with a lot of questions. Okay, so now I haven't done that, I haven't declared a winner. Can you then step back and show us every step of the way what you are doing with parties involved to validate or perhaps negate some of the results that you have admitted, and perhaps reverse yourself if the need be? This is something INEC is not doing enough of, and this is something that we require them to do, because we cannot spend about 355 billion or thereabout, waited for so long, almost 2 years, 3 years in the making, and then Nigerians' life were, disrupted, whether it is we are collecting PVC, we are registering, or some other thing, and will not have a good result out of incredible results.
Indeed, this is hoping that they are also listening to this discussion. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Mr. Sulaimon Aribabu is the co-convener, Election Integrity Monitoring Group. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks.
We go on to other stories where 6 governorship candidates in Bauchi State have officially committed to peaceful conduct of the governorship and state assembly elections as they signed a peace accord ahead of the elections. The candidate of the PDP, also incumbent governor, Bala Mohammed, the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, retired, represented by his running mate, the NNPP candidate, Senator Haliru Jika, the PRP candidate, Umar Gwadabe, and candidates of the Labour Party and the ZLP were all present at the police force headquarters to append their signatures to the Peace Pact.
Arrangement for today is such that at the end of the activity, everybody will find a brother in what we have done today. So congratulations to all the contestants. Congratulations to all my security people. On the side of the security, we have promised to be very, very fair and humble. The politicians, I will wish that you will be fully guided by the provision of Electoral Act 2022.
And now the Coalition for Better and Brighter Nigeria, CBBN, the umbrella body of all support groups for presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, in Taraba State, they've endorsed the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Colonel Kefas Abu, as their candidate for the governorship election in the state. Leader of the group and governorship candidate of the party, Philip Munlib, disclosed this in Jalingo at a press conference, insisting that the decision was a product of extensive consultation.
The Taraba State leadership of the CPBN, after critically examining the gubernatorial candidates and looked at their antecedent and capacity for the forthcoming governorship election, has decided to support the candidacy of Lieutenant Colonel Abu Kefas, PhD, of the People's Democratic Party. This decision was taken with due consultation with all our chapters drawn from the 16 local governments. In the bid to bridge all identified gaps, our relevant stakeholders in the various communities, Sub-World and Taraba State, in order to assure a victorious outcome at the governorship election.
Over in the southwest, the Accord Party in Oyo State joined other political parties to adopt Governor Seyi Makinde as its candidate in the state elections in the state. At a press briefing in Ibadan, the capital, the party noted that Mr. Makinde has proven himself beyond doubt that he means well for residents of Oyo with his actions in the last 4 years. We're back with more political stories when we return. Stay with us.
Religion acknowledges it. Science calls it fact. Man's survival depends on nature. Today's reality: war, pandemic, food scarcity, nature's way of fighting back. Join the Earthfile team every week on the journey to learn how to right the wrongs. At these times on Channels Television.
Welcome back. The leadership of the organized student bodies in Ogun State, after its emergency Senate meeting held in the state capital, have expressed their support for the re-election bid of the state governor, Dapo Abiodun. At a press briefing held at the Labour House in the state capital, the student leaders say the endorsement has become imperative in view of the current strategic infrastructure development in areas of education, security, agriculture, and critical infrastructure development.
Senators and stakeholders noted that our health sector has witnessed tremendous improvement. Infrastructure has been improved upon, just as the governor was recently awarded with Industrious Merit Award by Forbes, and several Nigerian media and organizations all left over infrastructure projects by the previous administration were not abandoned as usual of the last administration could not touch it. This is an aspiration we must embrace as a people. On this note, the Senate unanimously concluded that this aspiration is seen in the plans and programs of Prince Dapo Abiodun in the last 4 years, and therefore all the good people of Ogun State in all sectors to embrace the continuity agenda of His Excellency Prince Dapo Abiodun, MFR, so as to ensure the stability and development of our education system, which is of paramount importance to us as students. This is our reason appeal to our parents, guardians, and every lovers of Ogun State, having resolved through engagement of the students, the Student Union leadership of tertiary institutions in the state, leadership of NANS, NAHOS, PSM, and other student bodies. It is in our wish and hope that we all shall share these aspirations and effectively pursue it by voting for Prince Dapo Abiodun of the All Progressive Congress.
Well, still in Ogun State, electorates in Obafemi Owode local government area have been urged to vote massively for the ADC in the governorship election and stand by their vote. The candidate of the party, Mr. Olubiyi Otegbeye, stated this while addressing a crowd of supporters at a campaign rally in the area.
we present to you our governorship candidates. Please vote for him.
And he is in company of Senator Ibikunle Amosun, who is supporting the ADC candidate. Let's now check in on the Southeast ahead of the March 18 governorship and state assembly elections. Our correspondent Etokwe Kute joins me now. Hi, Etokwe. So it's a few more days for political parties to convince the people why they should be elected. How have they been reacting to the election postponement?
Good afternoon, Millicent. Honestly, the political parties are not finding it funny at all, because for them, they've dotted their I's and crossed all the T's until the announcement by the INEC scheduling the election till Saturday, March 18th. And for them, it's another opportunity to re-strategize and also continue their campaigns to woo electorates to vote for them in the coming governorship and state assembly elections. And since the election umpire has spoken, they said they don't have anything to do because especially when it's in the best interest of the entire election process. But for residents, they are not happy about this postponement because, before now there's been speculations that the cash crunch and some of the hardship faced due to the fuel scarcity and fuel prices is because of the election. And so they're hoping that this weekend, this will end after the election. But with this postponement, they're not happy about it because the election umpire has spoken, so everything will have to go their way.
Indeed, it's quite interesting to see that, not just in the Southeast. We also heard from some people in Kano. But for the Southeast, because not all the states will be having elections, what further actions do we see the parties making, especially for states like Abia, Ebonyi, and Enugu?
Okay, like I said earlier, it's just 7 more days for them, or 6 more days thereabouts for them to double up their campaigns and woo electorates. But states in the Southeast, like you said, where governorship elections they hold is Abia State, Enugu State, and Ebonyi State, while in Imo and Anambra they just have state assembly elections. But states to also look out for in the Southeast is Abia State and Enugu State. And why I said so is, the governor, the incumbent governor who will be handing over to his successor, lost the bid to get the senatorial seat. So they would go the extra mile to ensure that they will not just only lose the senatorial, but also win the governorship, which will give them a successor in their different states. Like in Enugu State, we also have the Labour Party, we have the candidate of the All Progressive Congress, also the former Minister of Information, Frank Oweke Jr. We also have the PDP governorship candidate, Peter Umba. They are all in the race, and it's going to be a tight race in Enugu State. Also in Abia State, where we have Dr. Alex Oti, who is contesting for the 3rd time. He was there in 2015, he was there in 2019, and now he's also contesting. We have the former chief of staff to the present governor of Abia State also contesting the governorship. So it's also going to be a tight race down there in Abia State. But for Ebonyi State too, we also have the present speaker of the State House of Assembly, who is the governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress. We also have the PDP, the Labour Party, and the All Progressives Congress. So they're by and large going to be a tight race down here in the Southeast for the 3 states who will be conducting the governorship elections, also for the state assemblies.
Indeed, a bit more time to make their impressions. Thank you, Etokwe, for that. Our correspondent, Etokwe Kute, in the Southeast.
Thank you, Milton.
Well, elsewhere, various sectors of the transportation sector in Kwara State have held a rally across major roads in Ilorin, the state capital. This is expressing their readiness to ensure victory for the Kwara State governor for a 2nd term. The transporters, led by the former National Deputy President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Najim Yassin, says his achievement in all sectors has endeared him to the majority of the people in the state and will translate to him being elected for a 2nd term.
What we are doing today is all the transport sector in Kwara State, both transport, both Okada, both Keke Napep, all the transport sector in the state. we are supporting the second bid of His Excellency Alhaji Malam Abdurrahman Abdurazak, so that he can continue the good works he's doing for the Kwaras. That is the purpose of our gathering here today. And you can see all the leadership of all the transport sector in the state. We are all here so that to show him our support, our loyalty, for him to continue. There are roads, empowerments of all, not those that have privileged people, the assistance he's doing. So these are things that we feel, if you see most of the road that he put in place since this is an administration, it needs to be commendable. And for him to allow him to continue for the second time so that we can see more good things in Kwara.
And for aggrieved members of the All Progressives Congress in Fika East constituency in Yobe State who stayed away from the last presidential and National Assembly elections, they have pledged to vote the governor, Mai Mala Buni, and other APC candidates. The supporters who converge on Kadaka Community, Fika local government area of the state for a rally, say they have been reconciled from the incident of forceful filing of a candidate in their constituency.
It started from the primaries. There's no justice. I'm a member House of Reps, serving member. Yerima is a former member. We are all contesting. Up to now, we don't know whether there's primary or no primary in Fikafuni. Nobody told us there's primary. So we cannot allow people to come and take this place without our consent. We are suffering for this for the last 30 years. I was the first chairman of the local government. We have been doing a lot of things for our fathers have did to them, we did to them. So we will not agree any stranger to come and take over from us. We will not agree.
We are all gathered here to set the motion in preparation for that one Ross election to return our governor for a second term in Yobe State.
I call this gathering to come and reconcile my aggrieved members who thought APC leaders have done wrong to them, and they decided to stay out of the election. So in view of this, in view of the next coming election, His Excellency Alhaji Mai Mala Buni is contesting for the second time, and I feel it is duty bound upon us on this committee to call all and sundries to come and reconcile and ensure that everybody have come on board, so that this coming Saturday we will come and vote APC 100% in respect of Honorable Mai Mala Buni.
To more political stories, in Kaduna State, the governorship candidate of the Labour Party, John Asake, has denied rumours that the party has entered into any alliance with the PDP for the purpose of contesting the election in the state. He also stated categorically that he neither stepped down for the PDP candidate nor the Labour Party. Elsewhere, presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, has paid an unscheduled visit to former military President General Ibrahim Babangida. The former Vice President arrived Minna International Airport and was received by the former governor of Niger State. Reports reveal the presidential candidate further held a closed-door meeting with the former military president at his residence, where some critical issues concerning the nation were discussed. And you've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Don't forget you can join the conversation on our social media platforms showing on your screen. I'm Lucinda Walker. Thank you for watching.